Hello everyone, this is Serath from Defection Gaming, bringing you Serath Looks at Blackguards. This is a indie strategy RPG brought by the developers, who are called Daedalic Entertainment. It was released on the 22nd of January 2014, and it's in plenty of different languages. Now, Daedalic Entertainment is a German game developer, and they have brought us several interesting things, but this I think is probably their best work. It's got a 71 score on Metacritic, which is a little bit harsh in my opinion. I've seen games get over 80, which I believe are far inferior to this. So Blackguards at the moment on Steam, for the first week of sales promotion, which ends on the 29th of January 2014, is minus 10%, is 10% off. So it's $26.99 instead of $29.99. Now, what is Blackguards? It is essentially a RPG story-based linear quest line with some fighting fantasy strategy elements, a bit like XCOM, but with Lord of the Rings characters instead of like soldier units with guns. So what I'm going to do to start with is show you what kind of options you have. Options, you've got the difficulty level, languages, tutorials, and all those sorts of things here. Battle log overlay is important because that lets you know all the different damages and things happened. There's sound, which is usually master music, effects, and voice. And then you've got the graphics. At the start, it's set to quite a low resolution, so you need to whack it up to 1080p quite straight away. And you've got various other graphical options to have. Just going to go back. What I'm going to show you is I'm going to start a new game and show you the beginning character creation. Now, there are two types of character generation. Now, the first one is basic mode, which gives you normal stats for all your people. And then there's expert mode, which allows you to freely customize exactly what you want from the start. But I highly recommend basic mode, and that is what I'm going to show you. Because I've only played 2 hours of the game, I'm not 100% confident with all the mechanics and all the figures. So it's best for me to show you basic mode. Now, this is the character generation. Name goes there. Professions, you have 3 professions: warrior, mage, and hunter. Now, warriors, over here is a brief overview of the warriors, and then their attributes and overall values. Now, the attributes, the higher they are, go into how many what values you have. So, for example, strength will go into vitality, attack, parry, dodge, and ranged combat, and charisma will go into vitality. Constitution, sorry, will go into vitality and resistance to magic. So, all those attributes, the higher you have them, the higher the overall values. And the overall values can be increased on their own, and I'll show you all that later. But that's just what the attributes and overall values are at the moment, so don't worry about them at the moment. We'll come to that in more detail when I show you the character screens. So this is mainly going to look at the professions and the character creation type thing. The warriors just have strengths, training in fighting, one-handed and two-handed swords, great body control, elemental knowledge of treating wounds, no experience in the wild, and untrained in ranged weapons. And their special abilities are Power Blow, which is an extra powerful attack, Armor Use, which to get them heavy armor, and Shield Fighting 1, which allows you to have an extra damage with your one-handed weapon. Mages, their strengths are they've trained in magic, they've got strong will, they're trained in combat with a magic staff, and they've got solid knowledge of wound treatment. Weaknesses, little experience in close combat, no expertise in ranged combat. What I've done in my playthrough is you get a mage near the start, so I've made that mage when he loses all of his when he uses all of his magic, he has a bow of which to fire, so he can at least keep staying at distance. And his special abilities are Astral Regeneration. Astral Energy is the mage mana type resource, and Astral Regeneration 1 is you regain an Ancestral Regeneration point for each turn of combat. Range Spell 1, and Steady Casting, Balm of Healing, Cold Shock, Burst of Flame, Magicka, Infiltra, and Calampurum are all spells and spell increase stats, but that's all down the line. And then to the end you have a Hunter. Hunters are well trained in the use of bows, trained in fighting with daggers, experienced in the wild, experienced in using and deactivating traps. The weaknesses are little experience in close combat, so they're much better for ranged combat, and their abilities are really things like targeted shot and dodging things, and they've got a bit of vigilance, all there to make sure that they're standing at attention, shooting things in the face as much as possible. Now, magic can only be learned by mages, so they're more magic casters, and they cannot wear metal armor, so heavy armor, because that seriously hurts and hinders their ability to cast magic. Hunters are sort of jack of all trades. They have little bits in everything, and can have really strong skills in things like bowmanship and all that stuff. Warriors are tank and spank. They can deal huge amount of damage with two-handed swords and all that other stuff, with abilities like cleave and all those sorts of things I think are involved in the game. And they can wear really heavy armor. Now, in terms of gender, you can have male and female, and you can only be a human. And you have these 5 different faces to pick from. You've got Mohawk guy with the cool sort of tribal pattern on the side. You've got long-haired. You've got average Joe with a beard, which looks a lot like me. You've got stylish average Joe with beards, with sort of like the flick of hair off to the side. And you've got crazy sort of anime style Super Saiyan hair. It's all very detailed there. And the female have the same thing. You've got 5 different hairs. You've got that, this, this. The face doesn't really change all that much, if at all, between the different people. They change a little bit, but not that much. It's mainly the hairstyle that changes. The noses and facial expressions tend to stay around the same. So in terms of character creation and flexibility, there isn't that much to be had. However, the customizability of this game isn't really in what the look is. I think it's really to do with how you have built it and how your character is trained and all that sort of thing. We'll go over that in a minute, but this is technically a negative point, that there isn't much character customization at the beginning. Apart from their stat values, there isn't much facial characteristics. So I'll move back from that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to load a game, my Thorn 1 save file, and show you the gameplay of the actual game, because that's what most of you are here for. This is the world map, and I love this kind of art style they've got with the sort of cartoony clouds, and the it's like you've opened a map and put it on the floor with the sort of fold lines and everything. It just looks absolutely wonderful. The art style is something that I really enjoy and have found very compelling. And I think the artist has done a fantastic job, because everything here is hand-drawn. The map's hand-drawn, the different cities. I'll show you one city. I'll go to Droll. The cities, everything's hand-drawn, I think, and it looks really good. This is Droll, a city. Now, as you can see, there are several different types of icons in this city. Smith and alchemists sell you, obviously, weapons and armor, potions and those sorts of things, and merchants sort of trades in a bit of everything. You've got question mark bubbles, which is to start conversations with people, and then you've got these little dialogue options. In this game, you tend to have dialogue being scripted to you. It's a very scripted game. There doesn't seem to be any negative effects for what you say or positive effects. What you say doesn't really change very much. What it does give you is it gives you more lore and knowledge about the game and more quests.
Let's go.
Quests are important because they give you experience. Now, this is a tavern. In the tavern, you can learn and You can rest, and when you rest, you gain all of your HP and all of your magic points back. Now, these HP and magic points are obviously expended in battle, and to go to a normal innkeeper, you can pay 1 gold coin and you get full of everything. The one thing it doesn't do is it doesn't cure your wounds. Now, wounds are a system in the game where you can have a few of them and they deplete your character's ability to attack. It slows them down in combat, it reduces their armor and all those sorts of things. It makes them wounded, and you need to go to a healer or have sufficient skill with like bandages and all those sorts of things to be able to heal them and cure them of their wounds. And you can heal a single member of your party or the whole party. There are other things that you can do by going, I'll show you, to trainers. And trainers should be, yeah, here he is. This is a trainer, and he teaches you all of your different skills, which is shown by the little sort of scholar's cap there. But there isn't really much to say about training because I can't level up a train. You essentially go to your trainers to learn new skills and unlock new abilities at trainers, and certain trainers know certain things, so you need to go to certain trainers throughout the world to get certain things now. So what I'll do now quickly is show you the item menu. This here is the smith's weapons, smith's armor, and the smith's items. Now, and then it's got the gold count, and you can have ducats, silver thrallers, and farthings. And it's 10 farthings to a silver thrall, and it's 10 silver thralls to a ducat. And these are used. It reminds me a lot like World of Warcraft, copper, silver, gold currency, basic for these sorts of things. Now, what you do have is up here is all the information you could possibly dream about the different things that you pick up. So, for the example, this is a effect. It's a poison, which is a strong paralyzing poison, and it gives a -2 to a strength, agility, dexterity, attack, and parry when you use it on an enemy. So that's quite an interesting thing to do. And that's just my items. I've also got no armor and no weapons because I've sold it all. And that's the inventory screen. Now, when you click the side, you go to your actual equipment, and you're able to drag things from here to the actual person. So you're able to genuinely have a see in your equipment area of all your different people. There's Thorn, and there's Narim, and there's Zubaran, and there's Naim. And you can just see what's best, move it over, and there we go. And it helps you to level up. Another interesting thing with equipment is you get armor sets. Now, the armor sets, this one's incomplete. If I get a leather helmet, a level cutlass, and a hardened leather boots to go with my leather trousers, you will get a plus bonus to armor rating and a -1 to encumbrance. Encumbrance is a bad thing, so getting minuses to them are very, very useful. And obviously having a better armor rating is helpful. To show you what I mean, here's Naim, and he's got a +1 to his armor rating and a -1 to his encumbrance. So it's only a +2 now, and his armor rating is given an extra 1. So an armor rating is much like it is like an extra attribute. It makes it harder for people to hit you in combat, which is what you want. And obviously here is showing that my whole person is. I can show you the helmet, and the trousers all use the same thing. So all of my armour is giving me 70% resistance to ordinary damage, none to bashing damage, 50% to slashing damage, 20% piercing, and 10 infantry damage. And then there's also fire damage, magic damage, and poison damage, which I haven't got yet. So there tends to be equipment. Weapons are done through rolling dice. So it's essentially a rolling dice game. And the damage is between 4 and 9, which is 1d6 plus 3 basic damage on this axe. And the attack value is 16, and I can parry with 13, and you get 1 parry per round. And it gives, and the higher your parry chance, the more likely you are to use that parry per round. Weapons and armour in the game, at the moment, I don't know further on, because as I say, I'm only about 2.5 hours in. At the moment, weapons and armour don't seem to do anything other than be something that your talents can be used to enforce. Like your shield and things, if you're holding a shield, you can have a talent to do an extra damage with your one-handed weapon, and all those sorts of things. So, and weapons don't really have any extra abilities, like Wargleave of Azeroth, plus 50 strength, on hit, does 20 arcane damage, etc. Those sorts of things don't seem to be part of this game, at least not yet. So there's all the weapons are really doing is giving you bonuses and negative effects, such as this cleaver, as you can see, makes my initiative -2, my parry -2, and my damage -1 because of it's a cleaver, it's just an axe. If I get a better one without these minus effects and all those sorts of things made of different things, it seems to all be making... It seems that all they've wanted to do is emphasise the talent trees and all that in the game, which I'm going to show you now. So that's all to do with equipment and all that stuff, and the inventory is there. This is the character sheet. I'll show you for Thorn because he's my main guy. He's a normal warrior guy. Your character sheet, there are 5 things that make up your character. Your values, your weapon talents, your other talents, spells, and special abilities. Now, special abilities are things you learn from trainers. Either a warrior trainer, a hunter trainer, or a mage trainer. And they teach a specific type of thing. However, each different person, if we go here, can learn each different thing, apart from magic. Well, I don't actually know if we're not actually allowed to learn magic. If we are, that will be quite interesting, because at the beginning of the game it said that only mages can use magic. However, this lady that I've just picked up, Naim, is definitely well, I think she's a hunter, but she has magical abilities, so I'm pretty sure, not 100% sure, that if I get the correct amount of abilities, I'll be able to cast spells. However, all of his spells have an X on them, apart from Zubran and Naim, so don't know whether there is a way to be trained to learn spells, but there might be. So, go away from magic, everyone can learn all of these skills. You can learn ranged attacks, and there are 4 different abilities for range. You can use melee combat, sort of power blow, and defensive stance, and all those sorts of things. And you can get extra abilities such as enemies suffer a penalty on attacks of opportunity. You can give yourself attacks of opportunity and all those sorts of things. Just do with how your character behaves and acts in fights, and gives each person a sort of flavour. Now, as you can see, in the description of Power Blow, it has Strength 13 of 12. And below that is Knockdown, which requires 13 out of 13 Strength, so I could learn that if I wanted, and it needs Power Blow, but also there's Hammer Blow and Liberating Blow, which require Courage, Constitution, Strength, and the ability Knockdown. Now, as you can see by my attributes, I don't have Courage of 16, Constitution of 14, or Strength of 50. But what I do have is ability to increase the base values through AP, and everything works through AP. Now you can see this, to get this ability, I've got all the prerequisites, I just need to pay 500 AP, and you get acquisition points when you complete fights and other story-like events. So you've got different types of abilities. So I've just gone through that. I'll go through a ranged one, targeted shot. Hero's next shot does significantly higher damage with no penalties. The archer aims for a gap in the victim's armor. The shot ignores the enemy's armor and may cause a wound. And wounding is the system that I talked a minute ago about causing negative effects to another character. That's that. So those are a couple of ranged abilities, as I've already talked about. Gives your hero attacks of opportunity, so you get a free attack on someone who attempts to move past you. There are things like dodge 1, the hero is skilled at dodging, bonus to your dodge value, hero shows lightning fast reflexes and receives an initiative bonus, so you get higher initiative in fights, so you go quicker. You have a dual wielding specialism, all these different magical stats, you regenerate more ancestral points per turn. Spells cost less points to use, higher skill, sort of increasing the range of your spells by 3 tiles. You fail spells a lot less often because instead of missing a spell, you have an opportunity to fail it. So your magic fizzles to nothing and it doesn't cost any points, it only costs you your turn. So that's sort of like a brief overview of the special abilities, and I haven't gotten very far in this. I've just got unlocked a couple, and they're really to flavour your character and to help them down a particular road that you go through. Now, what you saw was prerequisites of things, and these are the base values. You have courage, cleverness, intuition, charisma, strength, constitution, agility, and dexterity, and those are the core statistics in your attributes. Now what these do is they increase your base values. So your courage will increase your attack, your initiative, and your resistance to magic, where constitution will just increase your vitality and your resistance to magic, and strength will help vitality, attack, parry, dodge, and ranged combat, all for the low price of 380 AP. Now that just increases all of them by 1. But it also allows you to gain a strength, which allows you to be able to use special abilities and increase to your special abilities. There are also extra stats for resistance to magic, which you can purchase, ancestral energy, which you can purchase more of, and extra vitality. So these are sort of overall values that you can actually spend extra AP to gain. Well, I haven't bought any of these yet. They've just been what my character has started with, and I'm basically spending everything on sort of talents and weapons things at the moment, and increasing my spell. And when I go through and find a special ability that I want, that I need something for, then I'll spend some time leveling up strength and all those other sorts of things. But it's helpful to know that increasing your attributes will increase your other things. So these big sinks of AP, these huge amounts of AP that are being sunk into 1 point of strength, are actually helping your actual character development. And I think that's quite good, because it shows that they've thought that when a character gets stronger, these sorts of things that he gets better at because he is stronger. It comes easier to them. It's a good system and a very good idea, and it all works really, really well together. Now they're your base values. Go to weapon talents. Now weapon talents are quite interesting because they you put points and talents to make them better, and for you to be able to use certain items, such as I can't use bows or crossbows, but I can use throwing weapons quite well because I've got a 5 on it. But you're also probably wondering, Serath, why are there these sliders? Well, for example, in Thorn's axes and macings, he's got 4 bonus points to his attack and 3 bonus points to his defense. However, if he was a very, very tanky character, I can move this slider down and give 6 points into his defensive stat and 1 extra point to his damage stat. So he's able to absorb and parry and block more damage, but he isn't doing as much. And at the moment in the game, a more balanced view is probably what I'm going to stick with. And he's a sword and shield guy right now. He might later on turn into a two-handed weapon or something, but I haven't really come up across that yet. Now moving on to talents, and I will confirm those quick little changes that I made. And those are, hopefully I've covered these well enough. You've got daggers and all those sorts of staves and spears and two-handed weapons and all those sorts of things, which all have their individual thing. And you have 3 different weapon availabilities during a fight. You can't change your equipment, but you can swap out weapons. So you may be tanking a boss, and then when the boss is down, you need to sort out his minions, so you don't need to have that much defense, so you can swap to your two-handed sword and get chopping. So it's quite an interesting thought behind that, in that you can tailor a set of weapons for aggression and a set of weapons for defensiveness, which I think is a very good idea, and it sort of allows you to be very creative with how you make and change your characters. Now, as I said before, I'll go to talents. These are extra little abilities that come through to your character. Now, Thorn is very good at Warcraft because he's a melee type of character, and he's got 8 points in it, and he's got a skill value of 8, so he's level 2 in his Warcraft stat. So vitality, astral points and speed of experienced humanoids enemies are displayed, as well as their hit chance. So this means that any decent enemy that I come across, I will know their hit points, I will know how many astral points they've got left, I will know how far they can move, and what my hit chance is, and their hit chance is to hit each other, which I think is a very interesting thing to have something worked into a game for you to have the knowledge on your enemies, which means that you'll want a tank at start with high Warcraft to know things, and to gain magic resistance knowledge and all those sorts of things. And just sort of, as you can see, they sort of go up in terms of veterans, and described as fighter's tactical skill with a high Warcraft value, those sorts of things. This is very interesting. Your Warcraft value, sort of how clever you are in combat, which is interesting because that's what real fighters would do. They'd think this person looks weedy and isn't holding their shield properly, so I believe if I do this, I can do this much damage. All those sorts of things that fighters would think of. It's a really good idea. And then there's treat wounds, which heals 5 vitality points and heals up to 3 wounds, which is useful. And that's with bandages. And you've got perception, which is hidden objects and level 1 traps in a 8 hex range becomes visible. And there are lots of traps dotted all around the place sometimes, depending on what you're doing. And at the very end, all hidden objects become visible, and you gain an initiative of 2 when you be perceptive, and applies a 2+ bonus to all ranged attacks as a passive thing. So when you actively use the skill, you find all hidden objects on the map, and you get a faster turn next go in the initiative order, and it applies a 2+ bonus to all your ranged attacks. So hello Nye, my ranged bow lady, she will definitely be getting very high perception. And there's things like willpower, body control, which is another one that I've got quite high on him, which is a good chance to resist knockdown and negative environmental effects, which I think is very useful, because, you know, if there's if I'm knocked down, I lose a whole turn with my character. They aren't allowed to do anything next turn because they're standing up. So, to resist that, basically gains me extra turns, which is, I think, very, very useful. And there are lots of different things, like Thorn doesn't have, these are locked, but he can learn them from a trainer. Anything that's locked, apart from spells, you can learn from different trainers. So I could go to a hunter trainer, for example, and learn survival skills and learn trap skills and all those sorts of things. But as I said before, you've got a party of at least 4 at the moment, could become bigger, I haven't played more than 2.5 hours. So you learn different things and get better at different things. So my bow lady will definitely have perception and survival high, but Thorn will have his warcraft and body control quite high, and probably have treat wounds quite high as well to heal people. So that's just an extra thing. Base values, weapon talents, and talents to all change how your character works, as well as special abilities to generate the flavour. So you've got huge negative in terms of you can't really change your character's face and put yourself in the game, but what you do have is ability to change what your character is, and that is really what this game has absolutely nailed. And finally, I'll go to Zubaran. Spells. Now, spells, there are 24 spells in the game with varying levels of 1 through 4, and they range from this burst of fire spell, which does a certain amount of damage, either 8 or 8 points of damage or 8 to 18. And then you can go to Zercross Fireball, which is what I'm trying to train at the moment, which is a 5 to 15 points of fire damage in an area, or 11 to 21. It sort of all builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. So it gets stronger and stronger and stronger the more you use. And you've also got healing spells. 10 HP, 20 HP, 25, and then up to level 4, which is 5 vitality points over 6 turns, and does 5 HP healing immediately. But that's sort of a big, strong heal for healing over the time tanks. But also you have a heals wounds ability, which is useful. I haven't figured out if you can heal wounds outside of battle. I think the idea is you just go to your trainer and you go to a town and get healed. Because it's very easy to disengage and go through those sorts of things. Very, very easy indeed. And all these sorts of debuffs, buffs, everything. So you've got a good selection of damage, buffs, area of effect, and mitigating things. And it can be really, really... It's quite involved. And you can choose. You don't just level up your spell and it gets better and higher level. But you can choose what level to use. So if you don't have that many astral points left, you can use a level 1 fireball spell instead of a level 4. So it's sort of tailored to the situation, and you can and the customization is there. And again, you've got to learn all these different things from different people, which is interesting. It means that it gives each trainer their own little flavour. So this person's been in a battle with goblins for ages, so they've learned how to throw fireballs in a wide area, so they can do all these different things. It's very well done, in my opinion, and I think that's probably best. That describes best what this game does. It is a very good game for in-depth changing of your character and building a character. It reminds me quite a lot of Skyrim, and all the sort of different areas you can put your character down is sort of in this game. And even though there are only 3 classes, it's not a full priced game, but I still think you're getting your money's worth in terms of everything there is here to do. And there's almost certainly an optimal way to do it, like there is with all these sorts of games. But I think the feeling of the game is really quite good, and I'm really enjoying it. But anyway, that is everything to do with the character sheet and all that stuff. What we will do now is I will show you combat. I'll show you combat. I'll go to this go to the tramp.
Tell Sereno his brother Onaris says hello.
Ah yes, I've already been there, so I need to go here. Now, this is essentially the map of the area, and it's got these different routes. And you can go in and do as much as you want. You can do the first couple and find what you need and then leave, but there are also a couple of extra ones. And I would always do everything so that you know and learn as much as possible in the area. So obviously I'm going to show you this thing. And obviously the more you do, the more AP you have. The more AP you have, the more skills you're able to change and evolve. So anyway, let's...
So, all 3 of you were wrongfully imprisoned. but for different reasons.
You make it sound like we invented the tale.
Never mind. Here we are. This is where your torturer lives.
Let's get his head.
Remember to give that head enough time to sing. I want answers.
You and me both. Let's shut them up before they can sound the alarm.
Traps. Convening opponents set traps in an area. To spot a trap, your characters have to pass a perception test. To disarm a trap, go to the adjacent hex and use a trap like an interactive object. So yeah, so that's what she's going to do when it's her turn. Those traps there. Oh, it looks like they're there. Right, so this is the battle map. Now you can use W, A, S and D to move the map around, so you can have a look around. It's all beautifully drawn, all of it. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love it, I love it, I love it. And as you can see, it's only one view. You only have sort of one range of view, but you can go up and down in that view, so you can go from full chessboard to interactive RPG sort of area. So I can move forward to say there, but I can't use any weapons, so what I can do is I'll run to there because he's my tank. Oh, let's go there. He hasn't landed on anything, excellent. Here's my other tank. He will run that side. He hasn't sprung any hidden traps either. Now what she will do is she will move forward to there. And what I've seen is there are 3 enemies in the turn order, as you can see down here. What I can see is this guy up here. So what I'll do is I'll use my targeted shot to shoot this guy up here. Missed my targeted shot. He does a shot to me. This guy moves forward.
Oh, bastard!
Oh wow, does 8 damage. If I move within the blue hexes, I can use an action. A bit like XCOM, you have 2 actions, movement and an action. If I go to the grey hexes, I can't move and use an action. So I'll move this guy here. And see if coming over here, seeing if he can use a spell on him. He can. Use a fireball, excellent, 12 damage. So that's done half damage to him. And as you can see, this guard has got this slash across his portrait, which is a wound. And it says here, 1 wound, attack -2, parry, dodge, range, combat, initiative and speed are all -2. So that's really good in terms of showing you that sort of information. So I now move here and do a power blow, which is an 85% chance to hit, but also has a chance to wound. Now this guy will do a power blow as well. Ha! Ah, he missed it. She will target this guy up here with a targeted shot. Now all of these different things, it's a mouse wheel. And this fist at the top is a basic attack with the weapon that you've got equipped, or a ranged attack, which is when it's targeted shot. She has access to magic. So if we come here to this, she has a strengthened spell of speed, and she's also got Hawkeye. And it gives you a tooltip to see what each one of them does. And you've got weaken, you've also got the wait function, which you wait until the end of the combat round and then you act. And as you can see, the turn order is she'd wait until the end of this guard's turn, because that's where the end of the turn is, and then she'd act. You've got 3 different weapon sets, which are interesting, and you've got your belted items, which are in her case 2 traps. You also have perception, which is the ability to look around and see traps. You've got finally your use functionality, which is to go over and use an object, which you can see by holding V, by pressing V. You can see everything that you can interact with in a level, which is interesting in itself. So what I'm going to keep doing is I'm going to keep targeting shooting. this archer, which does 7 damage to him. Now, I think what we'll do is 3 damage. So what we'll do is move him forward. I keep right-clicking instead of left-clicking. It's left-clicking to move and right-click to do an evil spell. So what I'm going to do is a level 2 spell on him, because he only needs 3 damage, and that can be done quite easily with my Huntress Lady. He will thunk this guy with Power Blow. Did 8 damage and caused a wound. Excellent. He will. This guy. Oh, he didn't cause a wound. Oh, he's on 1 HP. But what I will do is I will stop this guy from shooting again, because he goes. All she'll do is do a basic attack. No! Which kills him. Nice and easy. That's a power blow type move, but he failed miserably. What this mage will do is move forward a little bit further. Or can he just literally oh, he can just target him, that's good. Still use a level 2 magic spell. Boom. And that's him dead. And this guy is going out to swiftly follow. Let's do a basic attack to chop him down. And that is very basically the combat. You then get the loot, the ducats, the silver thanes, and the farthings. And hardened leather boots, which are useful. What we will do is we will... All of those are 2 load, which we are on 95 out of 96, so we can't really do anything with them, so we won't take that, but we do automatically gain the money. As you can see, we've moved forward, and that is the next area in our little... The next area in our little route, I would say. I'd call it a route through the this little area. So anyway, what we'll do is I probably wouldn't heal myself at this area because everyone's got high health. He's got less magic, but he does have his bow, and he can just use his basic magic attacks at the start. It should be fine. But anyway, this has been Serath Looks at Blackguards. Now, I said at the beginning that I thought 71 metascore was harsh, and I do think that's maybe a little bit harsh because I've seen lots of games come out lots of indie games at least come out with much less interactiveness than this, and much less thought behind it than this game. What this game doesn't do is it doesn't give you it doesn't give you room to maneuver, to do exactly what you want, because it's very much got a linear story. Now, lots of people don't like that, but I happen to be absolutely fine with a linear storyline, so that's absolutely no bonus points off for me there, but in some cases, it can be seen as quite a big negative. Another relatively big negative is the fact that there are sort of only 3 classes, and people say, oh, you could be more inventive, but within those 3 classes there is a lot of different things to do, and class really doesn't say everything about what a character can achieve. But at the beginning, as you saw the character generation, having 5 faces for a character isn't really enough, and many people demand more from their games nowadays. However, everything's been pretty much hand-drawn. The map, all the character models, these beautiful pictures down here of different people, everything's hand-drawn, and the artist has done a fantastic job. I think they just could have put a little bit more effort into more customization at the beginning. Now, they're the negatives, and the fact that the dialogue is you don't affect how the game world works with just dialogue, but that's fine. Lots of games don't. It's just something that lots of games of this type is starting to put into their actual games. After XCOM's big basically decision-making changes that they made you do, which is absolutely fantastic. So they're really the game's bad points. What the game is good at, which is why I'm definitely going to be recommending this game for anyone who's enjoyed the gameplay aspect, is it's got a fantastic art style and it looks really, really good. The game is very, very fluid motion, and all the graphics for the fighting is pretty well thought out and pretty good. The strategy hexagonal element is great. I think that it works really well, and sometimes it really makes you think, especially when you're fighting that big boss monster and you need to use a bit of the environment to hurt him, like drop a chandelier on its head or shoot a fireball into a swamp of poisonous gas which blasts its face. So in terms of strategy, it's quite difficult and quite interesting, which is what I really like about it. Another plus is just the insane amount of customizability that there is to do with your actual class. It's probably definitely worth 2 or 3 playthroughs just to see if you can make the best character of the best, which is really good. And I think it has got replayability and is good, and I've enjoyed it. The loot system isn't really fleshed out that much. It is very much to do with, this is the weapon, use it in terms of your talents. And it isn't to do with, this is an epic piece of loot, which is fine, lots of games do it like that. So anyway, they have been the plus and minus points of this game. But anyway, this is Serath from Defection Gaming, thoroughly recommending this game to you. It's Blackguards, it's on Steam at the moment until the 29th of January for $26.99. If you've enjoyed what you've seen and you think you were interested in it, then by all means get it. But I have mentioned the negative points, but as I've said, they haven't affected my playthrough and my enjoyment of the game. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. And please rate, comment and subscribe, and anything you want to say about the game or any questions, please let me know in the comment section or send me an email. I've been Serath from Defection Gaming. Thank you very much. Goodbye.